Yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And after serving in our state legislature in Florida, now here in the Congress, I've come to learn that the more I see of government, the less of it I want. And that seems to be the reaction increasingly of our constituents who face woke and weaponized agencies with seemingly unlimited authority to be able to impact regulatory costs. And I've heard the minority debate against the underlying REINs Act and for these various carve-outs in terms that would scare people. We wouldn't be able to make decisions. Our process would be frozen. Chaos would ensue. I'm here to tell you we have test cases that empirically prove that to be false. The very first piece of legislation I passed in the state legislature was the Florida version of the REINs Act that said that if regulatory costs were at a certain level, the agency could be compelled to produce a lower cost regulatory alternative. And they would have to defend that, and if they could not, then that particular regulatory action would not have the force of law. And all of the things that my colleagues in the minority have been saying did not happen. Why? Because if agencies have to defend their conduct, there is a deterrent effect against inappropriate agency action. In the Florida legislature, we actually meet a lot less than here in the United States Congress. And they haven't had to review hundreds or thousands of these regulations that exceed the authority. In those circumstances, the legislature, I think, has put the right constraint on the administrative state so that everyone could stay in their lanes. And so if the animation does not come from a sincere desire to save us from chaos, then why would the minority in this case not want the politically elected representatives of the people to be the lawmakers? And I think the real reason is that they want to divorce the painful decisions that bureaucrats make from political accountability. Because regular folks don't get to go vote against somebody with green eye shades in a windowless cubicle at the IRS building. They vote for or against their representatives in a republic. And so that's what this is really all about, being able to ensure that where people feel pain in terms of complying with laws, so these are the people who want to comply and feel an economic pain as a consequence, and where the agency cannot produce a lower cost regulatory alternative, we think the obligation should be on the Congress. And that is, I think, the better representation of good governance. That's certainly been our experience in Florida. And if there is a state that has done what mine has and has adopted a state-level version of this to constrain their state government, and it has resulted in the hysteria that we hear from the minority, I look forward to hearing that case study. Seeing none of my colleagues that seek further time, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The question occurs on the amendment from the gentlelady from Pennsylvania.